Welcome back to 3 News at 4. Time now is 4:31. Now, gun violence has been a talker in the news lately. We have a new series of reports from our news partner at Cleveland.com that shows just how big an issue this is and where the guns involved in local crimes actually come from.
Yeah, joining us now, Daprile from Cleveland.com. We are so grateful you're here. Great article. I read it before we were talking, and I just wondered, when we're talking about your reporting, what struck you most when you were reading this? I mean, what should the big takeaways be for us?
About, are you this specific story or just in the
story? Well, what you discovered as you wrote this story.
Sure. In this particular element, now the story is going to be broken up into a bunch of different findings. Essentially, we're following up on every homicide from 2024, and this particular sliver of the story was about the percentage of homicides that involved a gun that was illegally owned. As I was going through all these cases, I was just wondering, because these sorts of things inform our opinions on gun laws and our policies and the way that people respond to these things. So I thought it was an important question to answer. I found at least 60% of the guns that were used in crimes, or rather 60% of homicides from Cleveland from 2024 involved an illegally owned firearm.
All right, talk to us a little about, specifically here in the city of Cleveland, can you talk to us about what did you find out? What did your reporting reveal?
Sure. One of the things that came through about, the question is where does the illegal gun come from, right? It's one of the first things I ask when I'm talking to police or investigators, but it's a lot harder to track than one might think. Sometimes they'll throw around terms like firearm trafficking, which when I hear that, I picture the Hollywood, a plane landing at a discreet airstrip in the middle of nowhere with, containers full of assault rifles or something. But really, the way that people are obtaining guns illegally is much smaller, much more decentralized, much harder to track. For instance, it could just be a person saying, hey, I know somebody who has a gun and I just want to pick that up. Or, hey, I know so-and-so got a new one. I'll buy their old one off them. Or I know someone who won't ask too many questions. We actually, a lot of the research shows that people aren't really buying guns from gun stores illegally, and a lot of them aren't even stealing them so much. It's just so easy to get a gun off the private market.
So what does that mean for gun laws if criminals are able to get guns illegally? I mean, what is the impact?
Sure. I think one thing that was really interesting as a takeaway, because before I even put pen to paper, I knew that this was going to be a bit of a Rorschach test for people who are concerned about gun laws one way or the other. I think that people who are more conservative will look at this and say, look, gun laws don't work, the bad guys get them anyway. And I think liberals may look at this and say, look, there's so many guns in the street, it's impossible to regulate them. But I think I kind of found a perhaps middle of the road perspective, and that this is in the story as well, where there is an argument to be made that actually the firearm laws that are in place are working, because very few people who are barred from owning firearms are buying them at a gun store, and that's what's regulated. Gun stores are actually pretty regulated. The ATF keeps very close track of them. You have to fill out paperwork, and the people who run those gun stores really want to be careful. They don't want to sell you a gun and that shows up in a crime a couple days later that can lose their business. The unregulated area, the private sale market, sometimes people call that the gun show loophole, but very, very, very few guns and crimes come from gun shows.
Okay.
So it points toward that.
Really
area of the law.
Highly recommend reading the article. It's really interesting. And also a quick point that you made was that criminals sometimes get guns not because they want to be involved in a crime, but because they go back to areas where there is crime and they do it for protection. So just really all the way around really interesting. Thank you, Lucas, so much. His article again on Cleveland.com.